Hey y'all, I'm Dan Hamilton, host of the Next Gen Warrior Show. As always, the Next Gen Warrior Show is brought to you by Chairman George P. Bush and the Texas Veterans Land Board. Today, I'm excited to have on my good friend Ryan Weaver, country rocker and voice, the patriotic voice of professional bull riders, a Black Hawk aviator veteran, as well as a two-time Gold Star family member. Ryan, thanks for joining us today. Tell me, how are you doing in the midst of quarantine and being locked down? Are you hanging in there?
We're doing great here in Nashville. Weather has been a little bit sketchy, so we're not going to be getting outside. We usually like to take a walk once a day just to get out and exercise, my wife and I. But this hasn't been too bad. I usually work from home as a country music artist, although I don't have any shows scheduled for the rest of the year due to us not being able to get together as groups. We got my partner brands with Nine Line are doing pretty well, and we're safe and we're healthy, so that's all that matters right now.
Absolutely. So Ryan, we are going to take a look at your clip from the AT&T Stadium. That's What America Means to Me, where you performed in front of tens of thousands of fans here, and then we'll catch you on the other side to get your reaction, okay?
Because that's what America means to me.
Touched highway, an acre, two kids and a white picket dream, loosening your tie at the end of a workday. That's what America means to me. It's a purple heart that my granddaddy gave me, an ice cream shop on the corner of Main Street, two names carved in a heart on an oak tree. That's what America means to me.
Sing it!
That's what America means to me. It's a land of the free, small town heroes and big city dreams. Oh, that's what America means to me.
You sound amazing on
So seeing that performance, obviously a tremendous patriotic event. Can you tell us what it felt like to be on stage that day?
Well, as a patriotic voice of professional bull riders, my job essentially, and it was amazing job to have, was to honor our fallen law enforcement, first responders, and military and their families. And at every performance with the professional bull riders, we always had our law enforcement, first responders, and military stand up and be recognized and honor them. And as you saw in that clip, we were able to have over 40,000 people, the largest crowd the PBR had ever had there at AT&T Stadium, stand up, sing along, light up their cell phones. It's just one of those moments that was so surreal because the place is so huge.
Yeah.
But it also is a huge, huge, huge indicator of how patriotic professional bull rider fans are. That's why we love them all.
So you have a really incredible story, and I alluded to at the very beginning. Tell us how you became to be the patriotic voice of professional bull riders.
Well, in 2016, I opened up for Dokken, Warrant, and Great White out in Colorado for a veterans nonprofit for the American Soldier Network concert called Freedom Fest. And Sean Gleason, the CEO of the PBR, was in the front row. The PBR was sponsoring the event, and he liked my story. He liked my performance, came up to me afterwards and gave me his card. And in 2017, we recorded my Celebrate America EP. And then I headlined the World Finals, replacing Steven Tyler at T-Mobile Arena, and it was a rocket ship from thereafter.
So was playing country music something that you always wanted to do, even when you were in the service? Because you enlisted as an Army intelligence analyst, and now you're playing along with Steven Tyler. You have arena tours all across the United States. Can you tell the audience a little bit about where you got started and where your love for music has come from?
Well, on January 8th of 2004, my brother and I were deployed to Iraq together. I was flying with the 1st Armored Division. He was flying with the 82nd. And he was on a bi-monthly blood screening trip in the back of a medevac helicopter to the Baghdad International Hospital when he was shot down in the back of the helicopter and everybody on board was killed in action. I realized at that time that my life was passing me by, and when I was winning karaoke and singing competitions in flight school, I really found a passion for it. I loved it. It was something that was so much fun to do, and I got to see the crowd's reaction to it. Well, I decided to chase this dream in Aaron's honor. At the beginning of 2005, I really started actively pursuing it in the club scene, moved into the larger club scene, the festivals, and opening for national acts. In a little over a year and a half, I was performing, opening up for folks like Blake Shelton, Craig Morgan, Jason Michael Carroll, and all the big names out there. So it's been quite a ride, but I'm honored to say that I'm still doing it in his honor, and now my brother-in-law Randy Billings' honor, who was killed in Afghanistan in 2013.
So if you don't mind me kind of relating this to current circumstances, let's say that there's a veteran who is out there who has just started to pursue a passion, and all of a sudden the entire economic, personal, social, and professional landscape has really shifted beneath their feet. What was maybe the drive or the mentality that kept you going after the loss of your brother, and as well as your brother-in-law?
Well, having both of my brothers in my corner to fuel my fire is something that's immeasurable. It's invaluable. I wouldn't ask it or wish it on anyone. But when times got tough, I realized that they're never going to get tougher than the days that I found out that they were killed in action.
Right.
And it's been my biggest motivator. As far as other folks are concerned, what it really boils down to, when things get rough, you have to be able to figure that there are going to be the ups and there are going to be the downs. And you got to try and keep that even keel across the board as you're going through it. Because here we are again where, back then I had nothing, it seemed, because I'd lost everything.
Yeah.
And then I used that to fuel my fire to be successful. Well, here we are again, no shows in 2020. Everything that I had going scheduled has been canceled. So I have to figure out ways to be successful or continue to be motivated during these rough times.
So now that you are home and the schedule has changed and kind of the landscape has changed, are you taking time? Are you writing songs? What are you trying to do to keep yourself active and to keep yourself productive?
Well, social media during these times has become the major platform for everybody's outlet when it comes to music. My partner brands primarily are online selling brands. My boot brand, Lane Boots, actually is in stores, so we're not seeing the sales there, obviously. And those are my sources of income outside of the music. Well, when you don't have any shows and you have no income coming in from the shows, you got to be able to find different ways to motivate yourself. And social media has been that platform to get out there, stay connected with my fans, and learning to play a little guitar, because I'm not great at guitar. Is something that I've made a decision to do. Spend a little bit more time honing those skills, because it's something that I don't usually do on stage, because I have 3 guitar players with me. So those are some of the things.
You're adding some new tools to the toolkit, I guess, if you will, during this time.
Yeah, absolutely. What it's really about is being able to adapt and overcome, just like the military always showed us to do. Yeah. The hurry up and wait process has kind of turned more into a wait process for us here during the coronavirus isolation. But you got to find ways to motivate yourself regardless of the circumstance, because I'm not going to let this get me down. It's not as bad as any circumstance that I've been in before. And I'm going to stay motivated.
Yeah. So I'm interested to know the conversations that we have had on the show. We've had CEOs, we've had executive directors of nonprofits and businesses and investors, but the conversations that we have with artists, we had Darden Smith on, who runs Songwriting with Soldiers, and now yourself, to me are some of the most interesting conversations, because you really have expertise and personal experience in branding and sales and marketing. But I'm interested to know, in everything that you do, tell us in the culmination of all of that, what does it feel like right when you're about to walk up on stage and you can hear the fans and the music has started? Kind of walk us through what that's like for you.
Well, before every show, the band gets together and we call it the Weaver Country Huddle. And my boy Trey McCampbell, who plays rhythm guitar for me, leads us in prayer. We always are grateful for the opportunity to get on stage and do what we love. And then before I get up on stage with the guys, I stop them all and I tell them, and I've told them every single show, this is the last performance you're ever going to have. Don't leave anything on stage. Make it everything that you've got every single minute. And, every time I've done a show, it's turned into something else. Everybody asks me, do I get nervous about shows? And I get excited and I get pumped. And it's usually those few minutes right before that I take my time just to motivate myself, and I jump around and hop around in circles and just get off by myself and do that. So, and every show it's pretty consistent when it comes to that.
So tell me about another performance that sticks out in my mind, and at least one that me and you talked about that I know means a lot to you. And that was performing at the Grand Ole Opry September 11th, 2015. And having your boots firmly planted on that stage versus, a decade or so before, having your boots planted firmly in the sands of Iraq. Talk to us about just the process of working through the ups and downs of the music community and in the business itself, but the joy of being on stage at the Grand Ole Opry also.
Well, there's a little bit of a story to it, but I won't get too long on it. But I think this is something that is really going to help folks that are on the transition, getting out of the military and getting into a completely different life. When I first moved to Nashville, I went from being a warrant officer and an instructor in the military to a bar back, a personal trainer, and going to college full time and getting my degree. Well, I was a bar back at the Wild Horse Saloon, which was at the time owned by the Opryland Hotel,
okay,
which is also the owner of the Opry House. Well, we do a tour of the entire facility, and they bring us out there on the stage of the Grand Ole Opry, and we say to them, or they said to us, excuse me, hey, does anybody want to get in the circle? Because the center circle of the Grand Ole Opry stage is from the old Ryman Auditorium. But does anybody want to get in the circle to sing? Well, a couple of folks that are coming into town to be musicians and artists and whatnot, they got up there and belted it out. And they're like, Ryan, we know you're here for country music. And I said, I'm not going to stand on that circle unless I'm here to perform, and it's going to happen. And my mentality was that I wanted to stand there for the first time on the center circle of the Grand Ole Opry stage in a performance. And I got one of the most amazing nights to perform there on September 11th with Charlie Daniels, one of the most patriotic Americans, and now in the Country Music Hall of Fame, introducing me to come on stage. It's just a memory I'll never forget. It's something that was one of the pinnacle moments in my career. You just can't explain the feeling of getting out there on a stage like that.
So, I can almost feel the excitement of you with your boots at the Grand Ole Opry. But another thing that we talked off camera about was the business side of music. And I think the phrase that you use is it's the music business, not the music passion. Can you speak to what you have learned about maybe business yourself during this coming up as a country music star?
Yeah, I think that one of the things that's the most important aspect of the music business is understanding that it is the music business. Like I said to you, when I first came into town, there was a entertainment lawyer that came up on stage to speak at an event that I went to, and he said, there are two things about the music business that you need to understand and that you have to have in this town. It's who you know and how much money you have. Because even if you don't have the money, because it's just like any other product that you have to invest capital in to get it out there to an audience. Even if you don't have that capital, someone in town can connect you with the people to be able to get you where you need to be, because there are 1,000 people that come into Nashville a day with a guitar and a dream, and 1,000 people that leave Nashville with an empty guitar case so that they could get back home because they didn't learn about the music business. Right. And for me, I focused really heavily when I first got started on branding myself and branding my name, getting into the marketing focus when it comes to being passionate about an art. It's not an easy thing to do, but I think my military background with so many diverse things that I had to do while I was on active duty, I think it really prepared me for being able to look outside the box and try and figure out how can I make myself a viable product to the audience and sell. How can I sell myself to an audience? Because it really boils down to one thing when it comes to being an artist. If you can't sell records and you can't put people in seats and live performances, you're not going to be successful at a higher level.
Yeah. So I'm interested too. What have you learned from professional bull riders? I mean, those guys have, nerves of steel. It feels like obviously just a tremendous amount of courage, but being in the stadium with those guys, seeing the business side of things as well as the professional side of things, can you maybe give us a behind the scenes look at how those guys prepare or what it looks like before you go on stage?
Well, every single time that they get on a bull, there's a chance that they're not going to be coming out of it alive. It's a pretty harsh way of saying, I mean, a pretty straightforward way of saying
Right.
it, but it's the absolute truth. Every time that they get on, they're risking their lives for their livelihood. They are the toughest people I've ever seen, because you see these guys that, I mean, they slam heads with a bull, completely knocked unconscious, flying through the air. Then they get stomped on, and then you see them, a couple minutes after that, standing up and walking off the dirt, and you're just thinking to yourself, holy cow.
Yeah.
It's the only sport that I know of when they're, people are riding on essentially a car-sized animal that is trying to buck them off and run them over. It's a crazy sport, but they're laser focused before they're going to ride. They're passionate about being successful when they don't get their rides, when they do get their rides, seeing their enjoyment, but also knowing that they just, for 8 seconds, sometimes more, or even less than that, seeing both sides of the perspective and how much they care about what they do. And they're traveling across the nation. They're bringing their families with them. They're not necessarily living the high life until they get to the higher side of the ladder, But I mean, and it reminds me a lot of the music business when it comes to the business side of it, not the toughness side. I'm not tough at all getting up on stage and performing by any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, the business side of it and how they have to be able to keep their mindset focused on success. It's a tough job. It's a really tough thing to do, but they do it. And I mean, like I said, they are freaking tough.
It's incredible. So what are you most looking forward to after this? What's the message to your fans when you can get back out there, or what do you have in the future on the other side of this quarantine that we got going on now?
Well, I'm excited because people are going to be pumped about getting out and doing things and socializing. And the live music scene is a massive part of the music business now, over the digital downloads and streams and that kind of stuff. So a lot of folks want to come out and watch live music, and that has been my biggest selling point. In between that, I love motivational speaking, and I do corporate motivational speaking all the time. And my corporate motivational speaking gigs are no longer happening right now because nobody's getting together in conferences. Sure. I love doing both of those. I love getting out there and inspiring people, and I can't wait to be able to add this obstacle as part of what everybody had to overcome as part of the story of my live performance. I think it's going to be an amazing thing.
Well, that's definitely something to look forward to. I'm also looking forward to that as well. And I want to give you the last word. Is there something that you would like to leave our audience with, or a message that you would like to provide veterans who are listening to today?
Absolutely. My website is weavercountry.com. All of my social media links are on there. If there's anything that I could say to anybody out there, if you still have purchasing power and you want to support, Nine Line Apparel right now is on the forefront of trying to get new masks created that actually stop 99.9% of all viruses. Go and check out what they're doing. And also, if you search Ryan Weaver, I'm a partner brand with Nine Line Apparel. This is my primary source of income right now besides my retirement check. So anything that you can do, I don't want to sound like I'm begging, but we're always pimping ourselves out when it comes to music. Well, there's music out there right now. I've got a song called He's Still Your President that's out there right now with Chad Prather. But the streams get me 0.0007 cents a stream, and my T-shirts are a little bit more profitable for me. So go and check out ninelineapparel.com and search Ryan Weaver, and I really appreciate your support out there.
Absolutely, Ryan. Well, you have such an incredible story, just your stick-to-itiveness, your perseverance after the loss of your brother and brother-in-law. And you really are a shining example to the veterans community about continuing to strive through really difficult times and just being an example of chasing your dreams after service. So I want to thank you for being our guest on Next Gen Warrior here. For everyone at home who is listening, hang in there, keep fighting the good fight. Go check out Ryan, listen to some great music. It'll keep you motivated while you're sitting at the house. And on behalf of Chairman George P. Bush and the Texas Veterans Land Board, my name is Dan Hamilton. We'll see you next time.
Follow us on Instagram at Voices of Vets, on Twitter at Voice of Veterans, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Voices of Veterans. To hear more, please visit voicesofveterans.org. Join us in sharing the success stories of Texas veterans. Thank you for joining us for the Next Gen Warrior podcast.